your name, what you studied here, and also if you could share some of the things that you're involved with here at USC, if there are things that you were involved with, either student orgs or research or whatever you'd like to share.
Cool. Sounds good. Hi everyone, hope you can hear me. This is a big classroom. My name is Nayeon Kim. I studied computer science, just the CSCI, and graduated in 2014. After I graduated, I worked as a software engineer, like typical CS major, and I worked at a, thank you, even better, okay. Okay. So after I graduated, I went to work for an agency called Space 150. They, so they're not a firm. They're not building their own tech products or anything like that. We have a bunch of clients. So and especially clients we service were entertainment studios. So I got to work on a lot of cool projects from like Disney and Universal. Like if they didn't want to make something, they hired us to do it, right? So I did that for a while, and then but currently I am a lecturer in the ITP program in Viterbi. So now I teach a lot of the web development courses. So actually, if you're a CS major, you might have come across the course I teach. I teach ITP 303, full stack web dev. So that kind of gives you an idea. I did a lot of web dev. It was kind of surprising to me that I thought I was gonna go and do a lot of Java or C++ when I went to work or something, but it turns out a lot of software is created with web technology, so I ended up doing a lot of that, and it's been a lot of fun for me, and now here I am kind of teaching. I never thought I would be a full-time teacher, but just kind of happened. If you want more information about that, you could talk to me about that later. But when I was a student here, let's see, honestly, when I was a student here, I was part of several organizations. I was part of ACM. I was like on the e-board for like 1 year. But mostly, to be honest, as a CS major, I was really focused on trying to survive my classes. I think a lot of you can relate. A lot of students now complain about your classes, but trust me, it's been a lot worse. I think like our CS 201 and CS 200, like we had CS 200, and that was very different from what you guys have now. So I know it sucks right now, but the curriculum did improve quite a bit since I was in school. And I did a lot of just projects on my own. I was really just fortunate to have random friends that wanted to make random websites, like they had an event or something, and they were like, I need a website for this. And I'll be like, okay, I'll make it for you, just for fun. And then those projects ended up helping me get my first job. Because they saw that I was actually making stuff, not just in school, but like outside of school. And I think people, at least when I was looking for that, they were pretty impressed with that. And even when I was interviewing to be to teach at ITP, they were most impressed with, oh wow, you can actually make this stuff. That proves to me that you could teach it. So that's kind of how I came here. I know. Pass it on.
Zigzag, okay.
Hi guys, I'm Lauren Denson. I graduated in 2013 in CECS, Computer Engineering, Computer Science. Before I started here, I worked at Disney, and I talked to an Imagineer, and he told me to go into computers. He's like, that's the way of the future. I'm like, okay, I'll just do that, that's fine. So I went through Disney corporate and going through the different areas, but I ended up at JPL, the Jet Propulsion Lab, up in Pasadena. Same thing in school. I was just focused on assignments, didn't really have much time for anything, and working in web development as well and doing side projects really allowed me to show my creativity for my job now. And so right now I'm working in the quality assurance organization, so our vision is we ensure that JPL products work when they're needed millions of miles away. So I don't know if you guys noticed today, our Opportunity rover died today. Rest in peace. After 15 years, when its primary mission was to last 90 days. It's crazy. So as part of my role, we act as the independent party to assess our flight hardware and work with the project. So right now we're working on our Mars 2020 rover. And in software, we have software quality assurance. We assess the flight software. We also are now looking into cybersecurity, FPGAs, and programming. There's a lot of new technologies that are coming out from industry and from just people dreaming it up in the universities. And so we work very closely with our partners with engineering and grow our hardware all together. And so I've ended up in a new team called Training, Tools, Technology, and Tracking, called 14. And we are looking into big data, IT infrastructure, basically whatever we can dream and make it happen is our goal. So, yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Doreen Hakimi. I graduated from USC in 2014, just like Nayeon. We actually had our capstone class together. I studied CSBA, and I particularly did that major because I decided to do computer science. I think I transferred into USC my second semester sophomore year of college, so I wasn't sure if I even liked programming, and I decided to do it on a whim, so I wanted the business degree as a backup plan. But luckily I did, and it worked out, and it was awesome. I currently work as a senior software engineer at Originate, which is a product innovation studio. It's basically like an agency, like Nayeon used to work at. We partner with larger companies who need help with their tech, enable them technically, and we build software for them. So I have been working there for about 4 years now. I started out as an individual contributor. I did Ruby on Rails. I did a lot of front end. A lot of the stuff that Nayeon teaches I do at my job, and eventually worked up to becoming a tech lead and leading projects on my own. When I was at USC, I was a president of Women in Computing. I don't know if that's still a thing.
I was president of Women in
Girl.
Computing.
Yay. That's great. So glad it still exists. And once I graduated from USC, I landed an internship also at Disney. I was they have a really cool PI program. I'm pretty sure that's what you're part of. So I worked for ABC, and I worked on building their new responsive website. And the team that I wanted to join got actually laid off after my internship was over. So I never really got a return offer. So I ended up coming back to USC and doing a career fair, and that's how I landed my job, and I've been there for 4 years. So that's me. That's all.
Hi, my name is Evan Phoenix. I graduated in 2002, so that's why I have gray in my beard. I work for HashiCorp, so we build a whole bunch of infrastructure tools. We're kind of like a half open source, half product company, so we build tools like Terraform and Console that companies use to deploy software into the clouds and manage their software and that kind of stuff. I've been there for about 3 years. I will not do my full backstory right now. It is longer than these backstories so far. I'll do it if we want to. Let's see. When I was here, I was involved with the Linux user group for a while, which I don't know if that's still a thing. Nope. Okay.
I don't think so. I don't
nope,
think so.
Not a thing. Yes. Well, let me tell you about let's see, what else? At HashiCorp, I work on the product called Private Terraform Enterprise. So Terraform is a tool that companies use to basically manage assets in the clouds like AWS and Google Cloud and that kind of thing. And we have a commercial product that goes along with it, and I work on the commercial product that people actually install into data centers, which is used by banks and large customers and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Hi everybody, my name is Justine Foote. I was a CSBA major. I graduated in 2017, so I'm a very recent grad. I currently work at Amazon as an SDE. I've been there about 1.5 years. So I was a new grad straight into Amazon. When I was at USC, I was also president of USC Women in Computing, and I was also CP for CS103.
Hi there everybody, my name is Aaron Cheney, and I graduated from USC in 2013 with a degree in math, and then I didn't get enough of it, so I came back again. And I graduated in 2017 in CS Games. That was my area of focus. While I was here at USC, I was also a course producer, but for 104, and I was a head producer there for 2 years. And then I was also involved with the Advanced Game Project, and I was the game director and lead engineer for one of the senior projects that's over there, if anyone's familiar with that program. I think we can get into backstories in a minute, but that's enough for now.
Okay. So now I'd like to just open it up to some, just general questions you may have for either individual panelists or the group itself, for everyone. So, if there are any questions related to just what they shared now, feel free to raise your hand to ask your questions. So, yeah.
So this isn't, well actually I don't think you mentioned this actually, but this is for Evan actually. It says that you've been working remotely for a really long time. I was just curious as to like whether, I mean I guess there are some obvious benefits that I can think of off the top of my head, but I was actually curious if there were any I guess losses that you maybe feel like there are, I guess?
Sure. I'm in my 10th year of working remote. So I think I've actually it's been bad for me in that I'm not sure I can go back to an office now. That's actually my big concern now, is that I can never work in an office again. So when I first started working remote, that was 2007. I was just moving back to LA, I lived in Seattle for 5 years. And when we moved back, it kind of made sense. I was switching jobs, and I was already going to be working remote in Seattle. The company's in San Francisco. And so I told them, hey, you don't care where I'm working, but now I'm going to be working from LA. So when I first started, it was much more difficult than it is now. So there was the company didn't really know how to have remote employees. There weren't a lot of companies that had remote employees at that point in time. And so the facilities that the company had in order to make it easy for us to work remote were poor. And over the course of that last 10 years, it's gotten significantly better. So like some of the things that we used to have a lot of problems with were being remote where a significant portion of your team was not remote. Those are sort of nightmare scenarios for a remote worker, because you get left out of super important conversations, and you get left out of conversations that the people who are having them don't know they're super important, so they forget to tell you. So that was those are things that I used to miss out on a lot. Now, the company I work for, HashiCorp, is when I started, it was all remote. Now it is like 70% remote, with the entire engineering team being remote. And so that switch means that it's pretty easy, right? Like my team is me in LA, and somebody in Amsterdam, somebody in Greece, Portland, and Austin. And we basically just sort of figure out how to make it work, and do a pretty good job at it, frankly. I would say that the big thing about like working, there's a couple of things that I still have to manage and think about, right? You think like, oh, I'm gonna miss people. I'm gonna miss like seeing people in the office and that kind of thing. Yeah, you do miss it. HashiCorp knows that exists. Like we basically have a big offsite every year where all the employees come together and goof around and do work stuff. But for the most part, it's just like sort of a kind of a company bonding thing. I would say for me, the benefits outweigh the negatives, right? So like, I don't have to wear headphones at work. I can listen to the music as loud as I want, and no one cares. I don't get interrupted. No one comes and taps me on the shoulder to interrupt me when I'm in the middle of something. I can literally turn off my coworkers if I want to. And so there's trade-offs, but we have I want to say 10 employees in the LA area right now, and we get together for lunch maybe once a month, maybe once every other month, that kind of thing, just to chit-chat, but yeah.
Is there another question?
Kind of general, but how would you say working at a company that consults to other companies is different from working at a company that is that company, like that actually makes and creates assets?
I can speak to that. I actually really enjoy the fact that I get to switch industries. I've worked on probably 6 different projects at this point, so I've gotten to learn a lot about different industries, and I like that. I've talked to people who've taken the jobs at the LinkedIns and the Salesforces, and catching up with them years later at like conferences like Grace Hopper, they feel like they're stagnant. They feel like they're not learning anything new, and they're not getting their hands on anything new. And working in a consulting field gave me that restart, because every time a project ended, a project would last probably about a year, and then max, and then it would be done, and I'd get to start on something new. So it's cool to get a lot of domain knowledge in different industries. I think the con is that we don't get live production experience as much, because consultants are typically really expensive. So, you get together, you build the thing, and then they don't want you anymore because you're too expensive, so you hand it off to a team, so you don't really get that live support experience. So there's a con to it, but I say the pros outweigh the cons, in my opinion. I'll give it to Nayeon to also chime in.
Yeah, 100% agree with Doreen. The only thing I would add is, working in like a more consultant kind of environment with a lot of clients, is I noticed that I was able to put in my input a lot quicker than if I were working as a traditional one product company. What I mean by that is, because we're doing so many new projects a lot of times, even though I was like an entry, like first year new grad engineer, like they would be like, so Nayeon, what do you think for this project? Like, should we use this or that? Because this is, I don't know, Flexbox is so new, like, well, should we use this? Or React is so new, should we use this in our product? And they would actually ask for my input. And I thought that was really cool, because if you work for like your LinkedIn's or Facebook's or whatever, most likely, I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong, but most likely as a new grad, you don't get much of a say in how your product is architected, right? Like when you're a new grad, no one's gonna say, hey, in Facebook, we're gonna add, a news feed, new feature. What should we add? Like, they're not gonna ask you. That's determined by much higher people, right? So I guess that was one major pro for me, and I get to actually be in the architecture process. So in more of the roles that I probably wouldn't have been able to do until later down the road. So that was one pro for working in that kind of environment.
What would you say is like the most common way to get a job after graduation? Is it like a returning offer from an internship, or is it like I know Doreen, you said you went to a career fair. Is that like a common thing that people do, like to actually get offers from that, or like what's your experience?
Yes.
Next question.
Yes. So we are very active in coming to campus. So career fairs, we get internships, anything that's co-op. The harder you can try and do that, the better. The more exposure you get, the better. Try. I know, especially for our lab, if you apply blanket to any position, they try, our HR, they try their best to try and just sprinkle you throughout. You could be a fit kind of wherever. It's very diverse there. So, yes, all of that.
Yeah. I feel like I missed a very important part of my introduction earlier, which is what I actually do. So I work in, it's a small studio, it's called Night School Studio, and we make games. But the relevant point here is I started as an intern there during my senior year, and I worked 2 days a week. I was fortunate enough to have a flexible schedule that I could actually do that. And I graduated on a Friday and started on a Monday. It was fantastic. I really wish I might have a little bit of a break there. Yeah, no, it's fine. All my friends were just hanging out, being cool. But yeah, I had 2 days before I started. But that goes to say that if you can spare any time for any kind of internship, I'm sure everybody else here would agree that that's just the best way to get in. And even if you're not working there, that'll open up the doors for anything else that's going to come at you in the future. So, yeah.
So I didn't actually intern at Amazon, but I interned all 4 years I was at USC. I got my first internship going to a career fair through like a friend of a friend who knew that I was a good student actually in 104, and that landed me my first like real big internship. And then the other big thing is like conferences, especially for, Doreen had mentioned this earlier, Grace Hopper is ridiculously awesome for internships and your resume. Gentlemen, I apologize. You can technically still put your resume in the resume database, but ladies especially, just take advantage of that, because I got huge internship opportunities, and I know most everybody else did too. But to echo the other point as well, just apply. Yeah. Anybody else?
So, internships weren't really a thing in 2000. Like, I'm sure there are people who had them, but I can't name a single person that I went to school that had an internship. My relevant experience for getting a job is terrible here, because when I graduated, the bubble had just burst and everybody was being laid off. There was actually no one hiring. I tried to get a job at White Pages writing Perl to generate like literally a phone book, and they wouldn't hire me. Yeah, so this is sort of relevant. So like at one point in time, I put Wi-Fi antennas on people's roofs as a job, and then that sucked, so I quit there, and I basically got hired as the Windows admin at a tiny little startup in Seattle. I had never been a Windows admin before. I had done some Linux administration, but I was like, look, I'll figure it out, and I need to get out of this other job. And when I started there, I basically told them, I don't want to be doing this job. I will absolutely do this job. Let's be clear. I don't want to do this job. I want to be a developer. I want to be writing software. This is a company that writes software, so can we figure out how to make that happen? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. Let's figure it out. And so, about 6 months after I'd been there, I hired my replacement so that I could basically just be a developer. And so, yeah, I would say, being present and being like, you need that done, I will do that, will open the doors that you have no idea even exist. Even if you're not even supposed to be doing that. Like, aren't you just the person who like updates the website with the random thing and you want to write this thing? Okay, well, we'll give you a shot. That happens more often than not. Conference-wise, I help run a couple of conferences, and so there are the job boards at the conferences are completely bananas. There are far more positions open than there are people to fill them. And so, a little name drop for the conferences I have to work on are RubyConf and RailsConf, which are Ruby and Rails community conferences, and we have sponsorships too for those conferences. So if you're like, I really want to go to them, and I actually can't pay for the ticket, like you can apply, and we will basically like give you a free ticket to go to those conferences too. So, and at those like literally, you could walk around. I absolutely see people on the last day just taking a picture of the job board and just be like, okay, I've got 5,000 emails to send now to try to get a job. So,
yeah. Just to highlight something that he just said that might have gotten lost, like no job is too small to start. So apply to that startup that you're like, I'll be here for 3 months and then leave. But it's experience, it's meeting new people, and it's like, it's so huge to fill your resume. I would say startup job experience is, in my opinion, much more valuable than doing your own project. And that's just personal opinion.
The startup might only be there for 3 months.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah,
that's a great.
serious.
No, that.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's a super great thing for you. If you go, here's a job hack. Okay, get hired as a startup, doing a job you don't want. Startup will run out of money. There's a 90% chance the startup will run out of money. Okay, when the startup runs out of money, you can say you worked at this startup, and you can say what you did, whatever you wanted on that. No one's going to check. That company doesn't exist anymore. You can say that you were like, you were just a regular developer. You weren't just a junior developer. Like, I was just a developer. We worked on these things. And then when you go to apply to the next place, now you're not a brand new grad who's never had a job. Now you're a developer who's had a job. And I'm not saying like be dishonest. I'm just saying that the job titles are frankly bullshit. Like no one knows what they mean. They don't really mean anything about what a person does anyway. And so if you basically say, look, I was a developer at this